Oh, well, hello again. I am back for the second video. And yeah, I just wanted to share some thoughts, explore some things. Um, Remember when I said that I'm pretty mercurial? I'm extremely frustrated today, and it's just general life frustrations. But I kind of want to explore, how we interact with anger and how we interact with our frustrations, and the ways in which we kind of do ourselves a disservice. Because overall, we're kind of taught that anger is a bad thing and that we shouldn't be angry. And that when we are angry, a lot of times we'll fight tooth and nail to justify why we are angry. Even though there's a lot of times that we experience rage or any other such emotion. And sometimes it's because of a misapprehension or misunderstanding on our part. But then other times it's things that are outside of our control that we, are very well justified in feeling frustration and anger about. In my case, I'm just overwhelmed by life. Life is hard. I'm not complaining or, griping about that, but I'm really being with and feeling what my experience is and what my interpretation of my experience is. Because I'm definitely somebody who is aware that things could always be worse. But we have to be careful with saying that, because sometimes when we say things like that, we're invalidating our feelings. Because while things could be worse, they could also be better. So, we can't just ascribe to one side of that coin. And so I think it's important for us to be honest with ourselves and a lot of times with others that are around us about, why we feel the way we feel and what we're trying to do with it. At the same time, I also don't feel that it's necessary, nor is it good or right to make other people deal with your bullshit. And what I mean by that is that regardless of how you feel, you are in charge of your responses, reactions, and actions. So, you can only help so much, but you should do your best to help what you can. So that being said, an example would be, somebody does something small and innocuous that perpetuates a feeling of frustration and anger. Just because I'm, feeling that is being perpetuated in me doesn't mean that I should lash out at that person based on what that small thing might have been, whether it was directed at me to be annoying on purpose or not. And so yeah, we just have to make sure, in my opinion, that we always take personal accountability and responsibility for our actions that are a result of our mental state. So for example, I'm pretty irritated and annoyed right now. There's a lot that I take care of and a lot that's on my plate. Yesterday I found out I'll have to spend about $3,500 to get some things fixed on my car, and I don't make a lot of money, so naturally that's something that stresses you out and frustrates you. And I typically feel that people are a bit thoughtless on the road. And so when I am upset or irritated or frustrated, I, feel in myself that I'm more prone to becoming upset on the road. And I have to really sit and be with that and to realize that the things that I assume about another person on the road could be inaccurate or an error. And everybody has flaws, and sometimes people's flaws just come out in ways where we can see them out in the open. Now that's not to say that we should just shrug off bad decisions and when people choose to be thoughtless and things like that, but it's more about what can we do with ourselves, because at the end of the day we don't control what happens to us. We control how we respond to what happens to us. So really, like, what I'm getting at is that don't hide from your anger, in my opinion. And this is something that comes up in my guide work practice as well, but don't hide from anger, don't hide from frustration. um, Try not to invalidate it. You're entitled to feel how you feel. It doesn't mean that what you feel and the interpretations that you are drawing from that are correct, but the feelings themselves are valid. We're always allowed to feel. And the reason that I make that distinction is it goes back to what I was saying before about sometimes there's a misunderstanding or a misapprehension, and that's why we're getting angry. And it makes me think a lot about things that are in the current societal sphere right now, where things are so divisive. And part of the reason that things are divisive is because people want to be understood without understanding, and they want to be heard without hearing and listening. And in my personal opinion and in my own philosophy, I don't really understand how we can argue against something if we haven't really tried to understand it first. That's like arguing against somebody about why, in Euclidean geometry, three sides of a triangle equal 180 degrees. If you don't understand why that is, then how can you argue against it? It just doesn't really make sense. And I think this is why, in my opinion, a lot of people, celebrities and otherwise, kind of just walk around with egg on their face, because there's things like cognitive biases and heuristics that they're not really able to acknowledge within themselves, with regard to whatever topic they're talking about. And so, in a certain way, we are building our own delusions when we don't check ourselves in that way. It's one of the reasons why, since high school, I've had this saying that I would ask myself on a regular basis, even with things that I know I have high veracity and accuracy, or I might be correct, but how could I be wrong? Nobody's right all the time. Nobody knows everything. So we all have beliefs that are unjustified, unfounded, and false, unbeknownst to us. Um, so yeah, that's that. I just wanted to share some thoughts again. Like I said, this is just me. I guess it's kind of funny, you know, if I just practice doing this, then I end up just doing it. So we're probably just going to get random diatribes that I go off like this regularly for a little while. But I mean, I hope people enjoy it. And to the few people that have already subscribed, thank you. I can't lie, that was a pleasant surprise. I know it was only a few of you, but I really wasn't expecting anything from that first video. Thank you to all the people who watched the first video to the end. I mean, it wasn't long, so it probably wasn't that hard, but I am thankful regardless. And yeah, I'm still starting out. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to go about this. Discourse is complicated, and I notice a lot of nuance within discussions and interactions, and so I'm really trying to navigate how I want to talk to you all, because it's interesting. A lot of times when I speak to people, I speak based on who my audience is, so I tailor my speech based on who my audience is. But right now my audience is there but unknown. I don't really know anything about you. So yeah, just thank you for that. I appreciate the support. If you are new and coming across this, yeah, give me a like, give me a subscribe. It'll only help me to keep going forward. We all like getting little pieces of candy that give us encouragement. So thank you all again. I hope that this landed well for somebody, and I hope that if you didn't get anything out of it, it was at least somewhat entertaining. So be good to others, be good to yourself. Have a great day. Lots of love.